The village life, they don't need to use electricity, things like water, which is used in town. For them, they get used to this life. For them, everything is normal, everything is easy.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So imagine what it's like to live so remotely that you have no idea where New York City is or what the concept of snow is. Today, we're going to get the inside scoop on what it's like to live in one of the most remote cultures on the planet, the Himba. Today, we're going to dive in and speak with Kaisa Ngombe, who is my Himba guide and translator when I was in Namibia. Many of you asked for a follow-up to a video that I posted with Kaisa a couple of years ago on my channel, so here it is. Kaisa is going to share the Himba culture with us, which is so unique and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. Traditional Himba villages, like the one I visited with Kaisa, are far removed from society. There's no running water, there's no electricity, they're really living off the earth. And Kaisa is going to share with us a bit about Himba tradition and about how Western education is impacting their society. Kaisa has such a unique perspective and so much to share. So although she grew up in Namibia for most of her life, she actually recently moved to Germany with her partner. So she'll talk about what it's like living in the West as a Himba and how she maintains her cultural identity. I just had the best time visiting the Himba villages with Kaisa. The smiles and the hospitalities of the local that really made the trip. As soon as I arrived to the villages, they offered me food, they asked if I wanted to make crafts, they asked if I wanted to go dancing. They were just so warm and welcoming. It was really incredible. So I'm excited to be back talking to Kaisa today. So today we'll talk about Himba tradition and culture, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about the Himba and the tourism industry. I hope you guys enjoy learning about Himba culture and tradition, and let me know what you think. Drop me a line in the comment section. And now let's cut to our interview with Kaisa Ngombe. So Kaisa, you have two names. So you have Kaisa, and then you also have Mariana, right?
Well, Kaisa is my traditional name. I'm a Himba. Every name in the Himba is having a meaning. When you have a baby, they need to go to the holy fire to be given a name. And my name that I was given is Kaisa. Kaisa is a Himba traditional name, which means that God, He will never leave you alone. Wherever you go, whatever you are doing, God is always with you. Ngombe is my last name, which means cow. Mariana is it's easy name for tourists to pronounce. It's actually my Christian name.
And now for people who are not as familiar with Himba culture, can you explain the importance of the cow to the Himba, as well as the holy fire, which is where you got your first name?
Well, let me start with the holy fire. The holy fire is a belief. It's very important to the Himbas because it's like this is their God. Whatever happening in a village, if somebody's sick or if they are going to name the kids, the baby, the small baby, every ceremony they come to the holy fire. They ask the permission from the ancestors, always.
And then the second part of your name, of your Himba name, is Ngombe, which means cow. For people that don't know the Himba culture, cattle are incredibly significant to the Himbas.
Yes. The Himba nomad peoples, the cows is the most important things in the Himba cultures. For example, if there's a hunger crisis, they can kill a goat, but they cannot kill a cow. Instead, they can just kill a goat. And the cow for the Himba is their wealth. It's like if you have a lot of cows, it's like you have a lot of millions in the bank. The Himba, they don't have banks, they don't work with money. So for them, cows is their wealth.
Do they ever eat beef though? Do they ever eat the cows in any circumstances?
Yes, they do eat the cows on very important things like weddings, funeral if somebody died.
Okay, so under very specific circumstances, if it's just a random Wednesday afternoon and you're hungry, you're not going to eat the cow. So can you describe a little bit more about what life was like living in a traditional Himba village? How was that like?
So I moved to town very early. So my whole life, I spent my whole life in town.
And which town
It's not a big town like Windhoek. Opuwo is not a big town like Windhoek. It's still kind of a village because it's a very small town, but it's not. It's different from the village.
You have the village life, which is very traditional Himba, and then you have the town of Opuwo, which is a little more modern, so to speak.
Yes. So the village life, they don't need to use electricity, things like water, which is used in town. And for them, they get used to this life. For them, everything is normal, everything is easy. So village life is having advantage, a good advantage, and also it's having a disadvantage. The advantage of living in the village life is they are living a simple life. It's a happy life. People, they are happy. They are not having a lot of things like modern things, but they are happy with what they have. They like it. And town life, like for me, let me explain about myself now. How is the town life? Town life is very expensive. It's very difficult to live in the city than to live in the village. But if you have a job in the cities, the life is better.
How do the Himba living in traditional villages feel about tourism? Do they enjoy spending time with the tourists?
Yes, they like to enjoy spending time with the tourists. I used to take tourists from different countries, and they have different cultures. And when the tourists are there in the village, they are exchanging the culture. They used to exchange experience, and they like it. So they like tourists.
I remember when I was there, when we were there, I met so many fun people, and they asked me through you, because you were our translator. They said, like, what is New York City? Because I brought an iPad and I brought my photos from New York City. And I remember everyone looking at this like, whoa, what is this city? What are these buildings? You know, they were just so curious and fascinated. And it was so fun to share that. And I remember no one had ever seen an iPad, and they figured it out right away. They were scrolling through the photos and they saw,
see, what is this and what is that, buildings and all the things.
Yes, there was a photo there with a man in New York City with an umbrella, and it was snowing. And I remember the Himba children looking at this and got so excited. They were like, "What is this?" And you described the snow, and they pointed to me.
Like,
they were like, "That's why you're so white," or something. And it was so fun. It was like the coolest, experience. I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's probably true."
For them, it's like, how can you live in the snow where it's so cold like that? How? They don't understand how. But it's a normal life here.
I don't understand it either.
For me before, I did not understand how about the snow. I never see the snow in my life. But the first time I saw them, I was like, it's like, I was so surprised. Like, there's a lot of snow outside, and it's cold.
Yeah, what was your experience like? When was the first time that you saw snow, Kaisa?
This year, just a few weeks ago. There were a lot of snow everywhere here, and I was like, one day I just get up. When I look outside, everywhere is white, like snow. Like, now I see the real snow. And I was like, I was so happy, like, oh my God, really, these things I just only used to saw them in TV, but now I can see them live.
Now, so take a step back. So you, as a child, moved from one of the traditional villages where essentially you're cut off from the world in the sense that there's no technology, right? But then you moved with your family to the town where there is technology, commerce, money exchange, like more of a traditional, Namibian town days. And who made the decision to leave the village? Is it common to leave a traditional Himba village to go to the town?
Mostly the people, they leave villages because of work. Like my father, is the one, he started going to town. My mom, then they started moving slowly. Then they end up being in town. Because they started me, I started going to schools, speaking English, and a lot of kids, they don't go to school. You saw them, I think, yeah.
In the traditional
village.
villages.
Yeah.
Yes, there were a lot of women, children, a few men that were tending to goats usually. And right, the children, well, I didn't see any schools around. I don't think they did go to school, and they wore their traditional attire.
But nowadays they bring mobile schools, and these mobile schools is not up to grade 10, not up to high school, it's only up to a primary school.
And what do the elders in the community feel about school? Are they happy the school is available to the children? Are they concerned that it threatens their way of life?
Most of them, they think that if they take their kids to schools, the kids, they end up losing the traditionals. They end up wearing like me. I'm not, you see? So because they're afraid that the kids, they'll start going to cities like Windhoek to get jobs there to start working. But that is the truth. The kids, they go to cities after they finish their school, because now they started to become a doctors or a nurse. Then they need to work in the city, because in the village there's no big hospitals. They are only having some clinic, but not all villages. So if you need a job to become a doctor, a nurse, or anything, obviously you need to go to a city.
So it seems that the elders are concerned with people leaving, because they can't just go a few miles. For those not familiar with Namibia, Namibia is massive. If someone has to leave the village, they might have to go 200-300 kilometers away, I'm assuming, to work in a hospital, because there are no hospitals that are closer. Would that be an approximate distance? And that's far, especially in Namibia. You don't have the highways like you don't have the Autobahn.
You have a gravel roads.
It takes a long time to get to different towns, because there are a lot of dirt roads, and it's pretty, disconnected.
Before there were no school in the village, but now the government, they want every kid to go to school. They bring the mobile school, so they are trying all their best to educate the kids. For me, I think it's a good idea for people to go to school, because the disadvantage is that for these kids who are not educated, it will be difficult for their parents and for them, because if you go to a place like in the hospitals, English. If you go in a shop or any offices, English and computer, everybody is typing. So it will be difficult for them. My idea is that education is the best way, but losing traditional is a bad way also.
Right. So you have this balance, it seems, that you're trying to attain, or that you would like to see attained, where everyone is educated to the extent where they can speak English, but you also maintain your culture, which is not English speaking.
Yes.
And I think the concern is that with education comes a diaspora, comes a leaving of the traditional villages. Do you think then that education threatens the traditional Himba way of life? Do you think there's a way to balance the two, so you can have education and a traditional Himba way of life?
Yeah, I think it would be nice if the government think of like in high schools, if the people could, if they could be allow people to go with their traditionals in schools, but only in mobile schools in the village until up to the primary school, like grade 7, you can go with your traditional because it's in the village.
Sorry, Kaisa, just to interrupt. When you say traditionals, do you mean the traditional clothing?
Yes. So in the mobile school in the village, they can go, they usually go with their traditionals. But in high schools, in Opuwo, we have a uniform for school, for every kid to look the same. So I would like for the people to have their rights. For those who don't want to wear Western clothes, to remain in their traditionals.
And you think that will allow the culture to maintain itself? They will feel comfortable in their traditionals while they're learning.
Yes.
How do you maintain your cultural ties with, identifying as a Himba, now living in Europe? How do you maintain your culture?
Well, my culture, I still have my culture. I'm a Himba. I still have my traditional food here.
What are you eating? Tell me, what are some of the things you're eating?
Porridge and meat. It's really difficult to find porridge in Europe because they don't, people think here they don't eat porridge. They don't eat porridge. So I was like, I need porridge. I'm a Himba. I cannot stay without porridge.
You need your traditional food, of course. Of course.
I was like,
pick too. The Himba porridge is very specific.
Yes. It's like, how will I live without porridge? Like, seriously? Then I also call at home. I was calling the people at home. Oh my God, there's no porridge here. Then they were like, what can you do now? I was like, we'll find out. We'll find all the shops. We walk all the shop until we find one shop with porridge. I was like, oh my gosh. At least now I feel like I'm home. I'm eating my traditional food.
So for you, it's food. The connection. One of the things to connect you to your culture is the food, right?
Yes, porridge.
Where was the first country you visited outside of Namibia?
The first time I lived in Namibia, it was 2015.
And where did you visit?
Canada.
Oh my gosh, you were here. Where
Yeah.
where in Canada did you go?
Ontario.
Did you go to Toronto?
Yes.
What was it like being in Canada, in North America?
It was very, the lights, too many lights, and also that was something very new to me. A lot of people, everything. Ooh, it was nice because I was at the CNE, National Canadian Exhibition, and there were a lot of people from different countries with their different cultures. They bring different things. I was at the exhibition.
Were you did you wear your traditionals?
Unfortunately not. I was supposed to wear my traditionals, but the thing did not work out very well because we were supposed to send our traditional attire to put in our suitcase, but that is not allowed at the airport. We were supposed to ship them before, but then the day that we were flying is the day that we ship our things, so it did not work out.
Oh, okay. Why don't they allow the traditionals on the airplane with you? You can't carry them?
Because it was so late because we first you need to take the skins and everything to the veterinary. Yeah, to be checked and disinfection and all these things. So
because you're wearing animals,
yes,
is that right? So you can't just take those through regular security.
Yes,
there's a special protocol. Interesting. I didn't consider that. Okay, so now you know for next time if you need to travel with your
yes, next time.
But when you go back to Namibia, let's say you go back for a visit and you were to go to the Himba village, you would wear your traditionals.
I can wait.
Yeah.
The whole month.
All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe at the link below. And make sure to tune in tomorrow for part 2 of Kaisa's interview.